August 19th, 1991. Crystal, I'm so glad you are finally home. How was your day at work? Fine, Callie, what's up? A letter from Pilgrimage came for you today. Crystal took her letter from her sister's hand, wondering why Kelly suddenly was so interested in what Mr. Robinson had to say to her. Kelly had never seemed to care one way or another what Mr. Robinson had to say in his trumpet alarms, let alone what he wrote to Crystal personally. However, she was hopeful that finally her sister was seeing the seriousness of what Mr. Robinson had spent the bulk of his lifetime trying to accomplish. Upon opening up her letter, Crystal read, "Dear Miss Matthews, we have your letter of July 27th with the enclosed donation for the furtherance of the kingdom work, which is most appreciated. All that you wrote in your letter is of great interest, and we do hope your witnessing will bear fruit. As you are planning to be in the area on September 3rd, we of the office staff would be glad to meet you and would not mind the intrusion at all. Our working days are Monday through Wednesday unless a holiday falls on that day. As to seeing Mr. Robinson, we have to take it from day to day whether he is up to visitors, as he is now bedridden and so could not give you a definite assurance that he will be up to seeing anyone. Alex King has been helping in sending out the trumpet alarms in his writings, and we feel for a young man in his 20s that he is doing a great service for the Lord in what he writes. Sincerely yours, Susan Crosman." "Oh, Crystal, how exciting!" Crystal looked at her sister in surprise. How could she say it was exciting that Mr. Rand was dying? Kelly, realizing her mistake by the look her sister was giving to her, corrected her error quickly. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that Mr. Robinson was ill, but that Alex King was a young man in his 20s. Kelly waited for the effect of these words to sink in, but Crystal seemed to completely ignore the implication, as she was in deep thought as to Mr. Robinson's state of health, and its implications which concerned Crystal to the depths of her soul. "Kelly, have you asked Dan if he would like to come to Pilgrimage with you and me?" "Oh, yes, and he thought it was a great idea." "Do you think he will still want to come, knowing that he might not be able to see Mr. Robinson?" "Sure, especially now that there will be a young man in his 20s there to greet us instead. Dan, of course, would rather talk to someone his own age than to an old man." Crystal gave Kelly another stern look at her usage of a modern quip, to which Kelly added, "Oh, I'm sorry. I did not mean to disrespect Mr. Robinson by calling him an old man. Really, I didn't. There's no guarantee that Alexander King will be there to greet us. This letter did not give any indication he was a part of the staff. It just states that he writes for them." "Oh, Crystal, why do you always have to throw cold water on everything? I'm sorry you see it that way, but I just don't want you to give Dan a wrong impression, so that he decides to go under false pretenses and then regrets his decision." Kelly assured her that Dan wanted to go regardless of what might happen, and the three got together to arrange accommodations for the planned trip to Pilgrimage. Crystal was very glad to have the company this time, but she worried that Dan and Kelly would not enjoy it as much as Crystal knew she would.